I woke to the sound of machines breathing for me, a sharp sting in my arm, a fluorescent ceiling, too white, too clean. The doctor's face leaned close, his words muffled through a haze of morphine. "We called your son. He said he couldn't come. He's taking his wife to dinner." Dinner? I was told it might be my last night alive. And my son chose wine over blood. The doctor's eyes flickered with pity. He whispered what my son had actually said. "She doesn't have much time anyway." Not much time. As if I were a waiting burden, a ticking clock to be ignored until it fell silent. I lay there, motionless. Rage crawled slow, icy, not hot. A flame would have burned out. Ice lasts longer. A week later, I walked out of the hospital, alive, against their prediction, against his wish. And the first thing I did was call my bank. 2 hours later, he arrived at my house. Too quickly. Not out of love, out of fear. I was ready for him. He came through the door rehearsed, concern painted poorly across his face, like a mask stretched too thin. "Dad," he said, "you should have called. You scared me." But I had heard his real voice, the one that dismissed me as an inconvenience, the one that weighed my death against a reservation at a restaurant. He looked around the room, not at me. His gaze went to the safe, to the files on my desk. He wasn't worried about me. He was worried about what I had left. That was the betrayal. Not just neglect, not just absence, but calculation. My son loved my assets more than he ever loved me. And I had been blind. Or maybe I had chosen blindness, confusing his impatience with youth, his coldness with ambition. But the phone call stripped the mask away. He didn't fear my death. He feared my choices before it came. And I had choices. I began quietly, slowly. One call to my attorney, another to the bank, a request for account transfers, property evaluations, beneficiary adjustments. Every paper trail led back to me. Not him, not his wife, not the future he thought he owned. While he carried on his life, smiling with her at dinners, driving the car I helped him buy, living in the house I had funded, I studied his patterns. He rarely visited. When he did, his questions circled the same axis. What's in your will? Do you still keep the house insured? Who has power of attorney? Not once did he ask how I slept at night, if the chest pains had returned, if the loneliness crept in like it always did after dusk. So I answered his questions with silence. And in that silence, I worked. Behind the mask of a frail old man, I sharpened my weapons. Signatures, documents, transfers, the currency of betrayal. The papers arrived on a Thursday. Thick envelopes, stamped in red, final and binding. I waited until he came again, uninvited, his smile too eager, his eyes darting to the desk before they landed on me. I slid the documents across the table. "What's this?" he asked. "Read." His hands trembled as he scanned the lines. His lips moved soundlessly. Then his face drained. The house, the accounts, the properties, everything had been transferred to charities, to institutions, to names that were not his. Nothing for him. This must be a mistake. "No," I softly, "it's the first time I haven't made one." He stared at me, eyes wet now, anger rising to cover the fear. "You can't do this! I'm your son!" I leaned back, cold, detached. "You were my son, until you chose dinner over my deathbed." The silence after those words was heavier than any shouting could have been. He tried to laugh it off, to argue. "You were unconscious, I didn't mean it. You don't understand." But I did, perfectly. I stood, slow but steady, and opened the door. "You wanted my inheritance," I said. "You inherited my silence instead." He froze, staring at me, waiting for some softening, some weakness. But there was none left. "You'll get nothing from me," I continued. "Not my house, not my name, not my memory. His face broke. He tried to speak, but no sound came. The weight of truth crushed him in ways money never could. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. I simply closed the door behind him. The house felt lighter after he left, as if the walls themselves exhaled relief. I sat in the quiet, breathing slowly, feeling the finality settle into my bones. He had gambled on my death, and lost. What he never understood was this: love can die long before the body does. And when it does, what remains is not grief, not regret, only clarity. I had given him everything once: time, care, sacrifice. He had given me nothing but a mirror of my own foolishness. Now he would live with absence, not mine, his own. I lit a match, watched the flame eat the edge of the last copy of my old will. The paper curled, blackened, and turned to ash. So had he.